All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to Jam Bets on this glorious Tuesday. Today we will be reviewing or recapping our podcast from NFL Week 13. Our picks, get our popcorn ready. Really, just a quick overview of the entire last video. Once we conclude that, we will begin talking about our favorite football team, the Chicago Bears. So, with me as always, I've got Momma Mia, the Mama football guru. So, Mama, would you like to kick us off with your must-play recap from last week?
Sure. How you doing, number one son there? Thank
Uh,
you again for hosting this podcast, and we're gonna go through what we did last time. And last time I was very high on Baker Mayfield. Thought he's rolling, and they're playing Carolina. How could he not be a good pick? He was not a good pick. He was pretty pedestrian. He had 235 yards, one touchdown, two INTs. He didn't look like himself at all. I don't know really what was going on. I know he's missing Godwin, but he's been leaning on Otten and on that other guy, the big guy,
Evans?
Mike Evans, and he had a pretty decent night. Um, Evans did, and they did pull it out. And the end of the fourth quarter, Baker got the score tied, and then they drove in for the final field goal to win that game. But overall, the performance wasn't what I expected. My second gotta gotta watch out for was Saquon Barkley, and he did not disappoint. He showed up he showed up in so many ways. They just continued to feed him, and he had a very good night. He did have one touchdown. He had 23 carries for 107 yards. It was a great game to watch. There was not really any disappointment there for him. Hopefully, people were smart enough if they had him on the bench. They didn't bench that guy because that would have been a mistake. That was a really big game. And now, number one, you had a couple of picks. Do you want to go over yours?
Yeah, for my two players to play, I had Zay Flowers on the Ravens facing the Eagles. I think Saquon Barkley definitely won the battle of those two. But Flowers didn't have too bad of a game. Was expecting him to be kind of the big play guy. He had 3 catches for 74 yards. He did not have a touchdown, but he averaged 24 yards per catch. He was the leading receiver for Baltimore as well. For yards, Mark Andrews did have more catches. It was a great game. Expected a little bit more from him, but doesn't always go his way. My second pick, which was a loss, was Tony Pollard. He really let me down big time. He only had 8 carries in the game total. Titans as a whole fell behind big time. They were down 21-0 at the end of the first quarter. Pollard also had a fumble in the first quarter, which led to a touchdown for Washington. Game script really got out of hand quickly there. Not to make excuses here, but Titans were in no position to run the ball that entire game. Pollard did average 4.4 yards a carry. He had, I think it was like 35 rushing yards. He also had 33 receiving yards. And he had 4 receptions there. So if you're in PPR, he got you about 8 points. But overall, not a great start to the plays or the players I selected there. And then now
Well,
we
they were pedestrian. They were just pedestrian. I think the buzz saw that the Titans hit. I was kind of doubting Washington, all along, and the Titans looked like they might be turning the page. So I guess not.
yeah, not going to make excuses. I thought those players would have higher ceilings than what they produced, but there's always next week. And then Mama, let's move on. You can start with players that we wanted to avoid, and I think you may have cursed someone.
Oh gosh, yeah, that was some of the feedback I got that I cursed T Law, and I also may have cursed CMC as my discussion with the 49ers somehow bled on last time. So I apologize. I certainly didn't mean to curse. I didn't. hope anybody would ever get hurt. T-Law had an unfortunate meeting on that day with the opposite defender who's been suspended now for 3 games. So it was obviously a bad hit. I do think that the defensive player was just playing aggressive and probably didn't mean to cause harm, but unfortunately he knocked T-Law out of the game with a concussion. T-Law still has that shoulder injury as well. He's a really tough guy. I mean, you know, he's going into battle wounded into that game, and there was they pinned their ears back like I said they were gonna, and they came after him. So that was unfortunate for Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're kind of on a skid. And the other one that I said to avoid was Brock Purdy, and they played Buffalo, and Buffalo is for real. Oh my God, Joe Burrow, or I'm sorry, this is Allen. Allen is just crazy good. He's very hard to stop. And I don't know what is happening with James Cook. My goodness, I had him on my fantasy team last year. He couldn't run past me. Now he's like crazy. He's running all over the field. I think that Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, is fantastic. He's doing a really, really good job with them. So Buffalo is for real. San Francisco, CMC is hurt. I'm not sure if Purdy's 100%. He didn't have a great game. They only scored 10 points. It was pretty one-sided the whole way. In the snow, I love the snow. I love watching football games when the snow is falling. That is real football. I can't stand when these other people get on and go, oh no, they should be all indoors. Phooey. Go Buffalo. That's what I got. That's what I got. So, um, yeah, so I was pretty spot on with my two please avoid picks, but boy, I didn't know that they were going to be that tough.
I
How
agree.
about you, number
I,
one?
I, I think football in the snow is the snow, the rain. Give me all the elements. You know, the indoor dome teams are fun to watch, but football, especially come playoff time, football playoff snow it's hard to beat. So my two players that I said to avoid, start with Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb got bailed out by the touchdown. I thought the Broncos were going to clamp him down and stop him from scoring the touchdown. Chubb had 9 carries. He only had 21 rushing yards. He averaged 2.3 yards a carry. Chubb also had 2 catches for 24 yards, so he only had, 45 total yards. However, he did get in for a touchdown, so he did score about 12 fantasy points, which is on the lower end of Chubb spectrum. You know, generally, I think he should be getting more points than that. And my second pick, I picked DK Metcalf. Metcalf had 4 catches for 66 yards. Not a great day by Metcalf. He didn't have any drops. I think he only had 6 targets in the game. The other receiver, Najigba, he was the leading receiver in targets and yards, which we did highlight and call out that we thought he was going to have a better game. Although Najigba did not score a touchdown either. But overall, both players I picked did have pretty subpar games. Neither one of them would have won you your fantasy league or won you any fantasy money in the daily fantasy. All right.
Yeah, those were tough picks. And neither one of them was stellar. They were just average. I mean, you know, it's not like they were total bust, but they weren't their stellar selves anyway. So, kind of right on that.
Yeah, we'll call it I'd say a little bit above than 50%. Neither one of them did what I think they were expected to do. The touchdown for
Yeah,
Chubb really helped out, but overall, I think they both underproduced.
I agree. I agree. All right. So we're probably like 50-50 on our we want to watch these guys and we want to avoid these guys. We're kind of got a couple good ones, couple bad ones. It's a game. It's a game. You never know. That's why we guess,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. I wish we had all the answers. All right, so we've got our get our popcorn ready. Our favorite matchup from week 13. Mama, you picked your favorite team, Steelers in Cincinnati. You want to give us a quick recap of that game?
Holy moly! It was from the beginning to the end, just a high scoring game. I was shocked at how no one could stop each other's. Well, I'm not shocked that the Steelers couldn't be stopped, but I didn't expect 44 points. What the heck? Bengals defense is a shell. They're just not stopping anybody. The running backs did well as we expected. Jalen Warren didn't play very much. We saw Cordell Patterson play, and then we saw the big guy, which I cannot forget his name, Najee Harris. Woo! He's unstoppable. He had a great game. Wilson threw for over 400 yards. That was amazing. He was on fire. The first touchdown that was due to an interception. The guy tackled Pickens, and then he caught the ball and took it in for an interception. I really thought that play would have been reversed, but the NFL reviews all touchdowns, and they did not reverse that one. So the very next touchdown was Pickens, though. So he got some revenge on that. So that was very good. The game went back and forth and back and forth, and Joe Burrow is insanely good. Just insanely good. I don't know what the guy needs to do to win a game. There was another defensive touchdown. There was a fumble by Joe, and I forgot who picked it up. I think it was Hayberg, and he ran that in for a touchdown for the Steelers. But that game did not disappoint. It was truly just back and forth and just a really, really fun game to watch. Um, Steelers prevailed, and I was happy about that. And they went into the jungle. They went into the jungle for that win. So I'm hoping that Burrow can pull out a win next week. I forget who they're playing. We'll talk about those later on in the week. But dang, I mean, every game that they're scoring tremendous amount of points. They just can't stop anybody. I mean, it's almost embarrassing for their squad. I don't know if some heads are going to start rolling in Cincinnati because they when you're scoring that many points, there's no excuse not to be winning those games. So, and number one, you had Baltimore and Philadelphia as your get your popcorn ready. What did you think about that game?
I thought it was a very entertaining game. Two good defenses, two very good offenses as well. A little bit on the lower scoring side, which I think we anticipated. That was probably a playoff atmosphere type game. Both running backs got the ball frequently. Both had over 19 carries, along with averaging more than 4.3 yards per carry. So when those guys were getting the ball, they were getting positive yards and successful runs. Baltimore, I really think Baltimore should have won that game. Baltimore led the game in time of possession, first downs. They had less penalties. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
Justin Tucker missed two field goals in the third quarter.
that would have been it.
Yeah, either one of those field goals, and Baltimore would have won. So
Yeah,
very
I don't
curious to
know.
see what is going to happen with Justin Tucker. He has not been himself this season. He
Not at all.
is missing kicks, seemingly every game. He's no longer the most accurate kicker in NFL history due to this season. He's got to turn it around because if I'm the Ravens, I can't trust him being my kicker going into the playoffs at this point. So I think that'll be an interesting narrative. He's I don't know if you can really have kickers be legends, but he's probably a Ravens legend, and I don't know what they're gonna do if he doesn't start turning it around. And he's probably got a short leash, in my opinion. But it was a
Oh, I
great.
would think so.
Yeah, they're a playoff team, and it would just be heartbreaking to that whole city if they lose a playoff game because of a Justin Tucker kick.
Well, on top of it, John Harbaugh is a special teams coach. That's where he got his teeth cut. So he needs to know what's going on there more than anybody. So I think that, we probably are going to see them look at other kickers, because you're right. They cannot be trying to get into these playoffs with Justin Tucker right now. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know what's going on. If it's something in his head, get him to a psychiatrist. Crying out loud, because he's been the best kicker in the league, and then, not that these were chip shots, but he makes those kicks. He normally makes those kicks. So it was really, and Lamar seemed to have a lot of time, even though Philadelphia's defense was very good in the game. He seemed to have a lot of time. The defensive backs in Philadelphia are really, really good. They covered your Zay Flowers, and they covered everybody up except those tight ends, which I know kind of drives you a little crazy. But um, yeah, Mike has both of them, and he benched them both this week.
Yeah, and they
It's
both
just been
scored.
it's just been a sore spot for him all season.
Yeah, they're dead to me. I have both of them. I cannot pick which one to play accurately. I play Andrew's likely scores. I play likely Andrew scores. So I finally just benched them both, and they both scored. I can't take it. But yeah, I don't want to talk about those two at all.
All
Even
right,
though they're
should
both
we
having
move
good
on?
years. Yeah, let's move on. Let's spend a little bit of time and talk about our Bears that are probably taking years off of our lives at this point. They're such a pedestrian team that gets so much attention from me. Kind of makes me feel like I'm crazy and just unaware of it. But yeah, let's talk Bears. So Fluke's fired mid-season, right after the Thanksgiving game there on Friday. Um, Pretty weird circumstances, if you ask me, considering he came out to a press conference Friday morning and told the media that he expected to coach this week against the 49ers, and then was informed that he was being fired about 90 minutes later. Um, I mean, that's just the Bears' MO. We don't have our act together. Um, we can't even fire a guy without putting him through the firing squad before we do so. We're going to send him out to the media on a huge collapse on that last play of the game. Let him get his shots in from the media, and then we're going to fire him right after. Like, could have at least done him a solid, not saying that he deserved it, but fire him before he goes out there to the firing squad.
True, true. Well, I think the Bears have, kind of a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde syndrome going on. We've got on one side of the table, you've got Ryan Poles, who I really think has done a really good job. And I don't think Flus was his pick, right? Flus was there before him, right? Oh, they came in together?
No, Poles was brought in, and then the report says that Poles hired Flus. So it was like 3 or 4 days later. But that's a pretty quick turnaround to pick a head coach. I wouldn't be surprised if he was given a list like, "Hey, you have to pick one of these 3 or 4 guys."
I agree with that. I don't think that this would have been his first choice. And then later on, we picked up Kevin Warren, who is a pretty smart football guy. So I think when the two of them realized, and they probably realized this a week ago, and have probably gone to the McCaskey saying, "Look, we've got to fire him in season." And the McCaskies just do not ever like to do that. It's very risky. I understand. You drop your head coach, your whole system is out the window, and your whole season is out the window. But you let them sit here for 4 weeks and cost you 4 games. We could be 8-4 right now. I mean, not saying that Thomas Brown would have turned things around, but you didn't have a chance with Flus just making error after error after error. I mean, you got the Washington game where the players aren't paying attention, and they score on the final drive, right? And then we come in and we've got the Green Bay game, and they block the kick when you deliberately let time run off the clock, where you could have ran another play so that the kicker could have been in a more comfortable position, because at 40 yards in, Cairo Santos is 100%. 46, he's like 70-75%. So you kind of knew that you should have done that, and you didn't. And And the Packers, they're not going to give us anything. They blocked that kick, and it hurt. Oh my God, that was just stunning. You could hear a pin drop in Soldier Field when that happened. It was just like, what happened? It should never have happened. Then the following game, Minnesota does the same thing, blocks the field goal on us. I think the players are good. They're playing very well. And then when we had the change at offensive coordinator, very first thing that happened, Nate Davis hit the road, out the door. I think that sent a message to the team that you got to be producing. You got to be someone who's contributing to this team, or we don't need you. You saw a different offense since Thomas Brown has come in. They've played quicker. They've played smarter. They've been a little bit more aggressive. And then I think the other thing that added steam to the fire for the firing of Flus was apparently Jalen Johnson blew up in the locker room after the game. Flus was telling him that we have to face some adversity, and he was like, no, we have to learn how to be aggressive football plays, and I think that's true. I think that's very true. And so what I want to see from Thomas Brown now is God bless him, he's got a lot ahead of him. He might be a good head coach. He might not be. It's going to be so hard to gauge because everything is in flux. We've got a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator, the special teams coordinator staying the same, but everything is in flux. So he has to be really, really, really good to win out the rest of the season. If he does, maybe he's got the moxie to be a head coach. I don't want to throw him out with the bathwater and say, oh, he's never been a head coach, can't do it. The Bears have always tried to find someone who's going to be a good head coach. Maybe we stumble into it this time. Maybe it just happens that Thomas Brown is really a smart guy. My advice to Thomas Brown, I've got 3 tenets that I want my head coach to have. I want you to be aggressive in every play that you call. I want you to play smart. No more penalties, no more, goofing around. Let's get the plays in like you've been doing. You're going to still call the offensive calls, which I like. And then you need to be unpredictable. You can't be doing stuff. You call a play and it doesn't work and you call the same play again. Don't do that. Don't do that. Be unpredictable. Make those defenses get back on their heels. Make them earn whatever they're going to get. Caleb's good. He's good. We just need to if we have those 3 things on our coaching staff, I think we could win out, Mike. I really do. We've got the personnel. We really do. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Thomas Brown. Um, I don't know if he can be a successful head coach. He's never done it. He's never been in that position at the NFL level, maybe in the collegiate. I'm not sure. He came from the Panthers last year. He was the Panthers offensive coordinator. Not exactly an area where he was set up for success, trading and losing DJ Moore to the Bears. And then their quarterback getting hurt, the rookie quarterback getting hurt, and I think the 3rd or 4th game. Not really a good position to show your strengths there. Came over to the Bears as the passing coordinator, so a little bit of a decrease there from the Panthers OC to passing coordinator. Then got promoted to Bears offensive coordinator. Then 2 weeks later is promoted to Bears head coach. So if he has what it takes, this is a great opportunity for him to showcase what he's able to do. This is the hardest schedule, I think, in the NFL to close the season out. We got the 49ers, who might be turning things around. We're not sure. Then we have 3 divisional games to end the season, and I forget who the other opponent would be. But it's a very difficult schedule to end the year. If he can win out or win a couple of those games, I could see the case being made. And to your point, the Bears love picking head coaches that have never been head coaches before, so he fits their motto perfectly. I could absolutely see the Bears doing that, although I would very much like to see us explore other options and actually get somebody who is a proven leader into this team. I think that is what I would prefer to see at this point. Um, there was a report out by Jonathan Jones who spoke with Kevin Warren. They didn't specifically talk about what coaches Warren was eyeing, but Warren did make it clear that he was looking for coaches that would be leaders of men. Right off the bat, there's a ton of coaches in our division that would be great to poach from because the NFC North is apparently the hardest division in football, and it's definitely led by their coaches. The Vikings, I did not see the Vikings having the year that they're having. Um, their defense has been just outstanding. A lot of the copycat Brian Flores over there has kind of
Yeah.
revamped zone defense on hiding zone defenses. He's an ex head coach from Miami. Some weird circumstances there. He got let go. I think he would be a fantastic coach for the Bears. Defensive driven coach. He's probably who I would lean to get right now. I think he's been a proven winner. He is definitely a leader of men. After that, maybe Vrabel, Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator for the Lions. Marcus Freeman is getting a lot of traction, the head coach for Notre Dame. I think he's been their coach for, 6 years now. But I would really like to give Brian Flores at least a real interview at this position. I don't know. I think Flores is who I would lean right now, but we'll see. We'll see what Thomas Brown can do. He's got the deck stacked against him right now. So if he can pull out some wins and win out this season, that'd be a huge win for him. And honestly, that would be great for his career if the Bears don't take him as a head coach or keep him on the roster. I don't think he would have any trouble getting picked up anywhere else if he succeeds in this terrible situation he's in.
Bit of a dumpster fire, I agree. You didn't mention Ben Johnson or any other offensive coordinators that might be of interest to the Bears. One thing that I think I'm really concerned about is, if we do get a different head coach next year, would we be able to keep Thomas Brown as the OC, just for continuity to keep our Caleb developing? I think he's got a good rapport with Caleb. I mean, there's also Cliff Kingsbury in Washington. He might be ready to move on and be a head coach again too. I'm just concerned about what we're going to bring in that might tilt everything too much, and then the players don't buy in and we're all over the place. But I do have a feeling that the players are buying into Thomas Brown. I'm getting that sense from watching the team. They are not giving up. They're playing their hearts out. I mean, those three divisional games they just came off of really could have been wins. So, and the other team that they have coming up, Mike, is Seattle. So they do have a tough schedule, but I do think that they're a solid team, and with proper coaching and smart, aggressive, unpredictable coaching, this team could run the table.
Yeah, our roster I feel has all the talent in the world. They're like a heat-seeking missile. It's not being sent in the right direction. I feel our roster is such a better team than what do we have, 4 wins? We have a much better roster than 4 wins, especially because we had the 5th easiest schedule coming into the season. That we had a 2-game stretch where we didn't even score a touchdown. I think that was against the Patriots and I forget who else, but it was another bottom of the barrel defense. I really, really wish, and I was screaming this from the mountaintops last year, I really wish the Bears would have went ahead and got a new coach, fresh start last year, rather than doing this NASCAR circle race that we consistently do, where we draft a quarterback, fire the head coach after 1 year, and bring in a coach who did not draft that quarterback. This is now the 3rd straight time we've done that. Mitch Trubisky got brought in. We had John Fox. We fired John Fox after the rookie year. Bring in Nagy. Mitch Trubisky doesn't work out. Nagy didn't draft him. We draft Fields. Fields does 1 year with Nagy. Then we fire Nagy. It's just been a revolving door. We bring in Eberflus. Eberflus then drafts Caleb. Eberflus doesn't even last the whole year, and none of those guys really should have. And
That was an epic failure.
and
That was an epic failure.
here we go, doing it again. We're going to bring in a new coach now who didn't draft Caleb. I mean, Caleb, I think, is a better talent than the other two that I've mentioned. So I think a lot of coaches would be wanting to work with him. I think there's enough
Yeah.
tape out there to where I think, as a Chicagoan, I had a lot of false hope for Fields, and it was really kind of eye opening. Steelers were winning those games with Fields, and I was like, yeah, see, you can win with them. Now I knew Caleb was a better quarterback. I was glad we made that move, but it was very eye opening to see that Steelers offense take 10 steps forward when Russell Wilson came in. Just night and day of the type of quarterback where he's at now versus a true NFL quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know how much of the the coaching changes and everything affected Fields. Because at Ohio State he was pretty good. He wasn't really the running kind of quarterback at Ohio State, right? But when it came to the Bears, that's what got developed. So I'm not sure if he's still going to be maturing. I mean, look at Sam Darnold. He was a dumpster fire in New York, and then now he's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, Sam Darnold is probably the most terrifying quarterback in our division, in my opinion. He's only 26 years old. He's younger than Aaron Rodgers when Aaron Rodgers started for the Packers, which Sam
Wow.
Darnold feels like he's been in the league for 12 years. So
True.
he's a little scary
True.
there. That can
Yeah.
turn around and he can be in this division for a while. But hopefully we'll
Yeah.
take hopefully we'll take Brian. We'll take some coaches from there and make them step down a little bit. I think the Bears are. I think the Bears have a very easy case to plead getting a proven track record quarterback or head coach. Bears have, I think, $80 million in cap space for next year already. Um, I think Keenan Allen is on the books for that as well. I don't think Keenan Allen's going to come back. So that'll definitely
Oh,
free up. I think we're paying Keenan Allen $30 million a year because we picked up his contract. So that would
okay.
put us probably around $100 million in free space. We're going to unfortunately have another probably top 5 draft pick this year. We have the Panthers' second overall pick, or second round pick, not overall, second round pick, which will probably be a top 5 pick as well. So there's a lot that can be done there. We've got a great defense, a young roster, a good young quarterback, building a new stadium. Think the Bears stock should be on the rise,
Yeah.
but it's all the same crap I was saying last year. Here we are.
I do think we've made progress, though. I do think we've made progress. I think that the roster is really shaping up well. Um, I just think we got our toe stubbed on some coaching issues. Shane Waldron, he clearly was an Eberflus hire, and Eberflus knows nothing about offense, just nothing. So that was very unfortunate. And the silver lining is that they picked up Thomas Brown. Um, and I'm just hoping that the guy shows us that that he knows what it takes to be a head coach. I mean, that would be like a dream come true. I mean, could you imagine us falling into that? Right? I mean, but I'm gonna watch next week's game. Gonna be holding my breath. Got the rosary beads going. We'll say go Bears. We'll see what happens. And God bless those Bears, those poor babies. My goodness, they've been through a lot this year. Keep up the good work, and just be aggressive and be smart and unpredictable, Thomas, and you'll get there. The fans are waiting for somebody to make this happen, and I just hope it's you. Then we know. Then but if he fails, then I feel bad that we've lost everything that they did this year. Just threw it away. That would be, I guess, the icing on the cake, right?
Yeah, well, we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see what happens. We'll get more into the Bears 49ers later in this week. We'll be on for the Thursday game as well. That'll be a fantastic game. Lions Packers. I believe is that in Detroit? We'll have to look. Getting a little ahead of myself. That'll be on our next video, and then we'll go into the Sunday Week 14 games as well. So bye everyone.
Take care. Thank you.